I just got in my new comics from M&M Comics. Let's open up this box and see what comics I pre-ordered 3 months ago. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, I've got my new comics in from M&M Comics. These are the new comics for the month of April that I pre-ordered 3 months in advance. And as you guys know, when I pre-order these things, I get some massive discounts on the cover price, and that's why I do it. But it also leads to me sometimes not being on top of the hot book of the week. That's why I go to my LCS every new comic book day. So there's things that I might duplicate sometimes, and there's times when I will go to those LCS to get some of those variant covers because I might not have pre-ordered those in advance. Sometimes I surprise myself and do, but a lot of times 3 months in advance, you don't know what the art's going to look like or if it's going to have any really key potential significance that might make it a much more valuable comic. But as I said, this box is a little bit bigger than last month's. I can't wait to get into it. So I'm going to go off camera in a second and I will bag and board every one of these comics and I'll come back and then we'll do a presentation. So stay tuned and I'll be right back.
5 minutes later.
All right, guys, thank you for giving me a moment to get all the comics bagged and boarded. Here we go. Let's get into it with the free previews magazines that I get each month. First off is DC Connect. And you can see they're pushing the Gotham by Spotlight, the Kryptonian Age, the new title, new Elseworlds ongoing title. When I say ongoing, it's a follow-up to the original Gotham by Gaslight. Be interested. I'll probably pick this up I'll probably pre-order this, I should say, but I will eventually pick this up. I'd be interested to see where they're going to take that story. I do have the free previews magazine from Marvel, and you've got the new Ultimates that they are pushing right here. So you know I'll pick that up because I love the Ultimates, although much more of a fan of the Brian Hitch, Mark Miller comics from the early 2000s. But I did get this too. It is called Free Marvel Must-Haves, and I'm not familiar with this at all. I don't pre-order the previews magazines. They throw these in here. So I saw this in here, and I didn't know what that was, and I thumbed through it. It's got some interesting art in there. I did bag and board all these, but I'll have to take all three of these out when I do my pre-order for 3 months, as I said, in advance for the next time I do an order. So those were the preview magazines. And I was pretty much a little bit surprised about some of the things that I had ordered. Completely forgot about some of these things. As usual, my orders are loaded up with facsimile comics. And let's just start with that right there. Now, as you guys may know, I will order multiple copies of facsimiles. Sometimes these things can have some really good value. If you can get them 9.8, and they're brand new, you should have 9.8s. And you get them graded, depending on what the facsimile is of. An Amazing Fantasy 15 facsimile can have some good return value if you get that graded. It's not the original, but it's facsimiling a very good original, right? But then what I've been noticing lately is that they've been doing a lot of facsimiles for books that have some minor significance, but why are we doing this? And especially, the books aren't that old, and you can still go out there and you can still buy near mint copies of a lot of these books for really just a few dollars. It's not that expensive. So let me start off with the first one. They reprinted Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars #3. This is the, if I remember right, is this the first appearance of the new Titania? I think that's right. And I've got this book sitting over there. Actually, it's for sale. I've got graded 9.8s of the original in this. And so I only bought one facsimile of this just to kind of throw it into the PC. This is a book that will never get graded. I can tell you that right now. But it wasn't the only facsimiles I did. I did pick up a couple copies, and I don't know why I picked up 2 of this either, but I picked up 2 of Spider-Man 254. Of course, this is a very early story with the new Spider-Man black costume. The original was. And great book. I've actually got the original ready to be signed by Jim Shooter. In fact, in one of my videos, I can't tell when it's going to come out, but I went to a comic book show here and I thought Jim Shooter was going to be at, and I was mistaken, but that's okay because he's actually going to be down at Heroes Con this year again. And this book right here, the original, I've already got it signed by Rick Leonardi, who did the art for this book, and the writer Tom DeFalco. And I want to add Jim Shooter to that as well. But I don't know why I bought two of those. This is a book, again, this book will never get graded as well. So those were those. But that wasn't the end of the facsimiles. I did get a really nice copy. I did order a couple of these, but the second one's a little bit of a surprise. And I'll have to go back and check my order. Facsimile of Wolverine #1, the Chris Claremont, John Buscema series from the late 80s. This is a reprint of the first issue, and this is a book that I would consider getting graded after getting signed by Chris Claremont. They have reprinted, this is probably the second go around with facsimiles with this book, but it still has that back John Byrne back cover, which has the black half of the cover on the spine. So this, even though it's brand new facsimile, is still going to be a difficult issue to get graded, just like the original was, because of all the black around the spine on both sides. But this is a book right now, depending on what I have, I may take that down to one of the Comic-Cons coming up very soon. Heroes Con, Baltimore, I think Chris Claremont's going to be at both probably, but I may save that for him as well. But I did pick up a second copy, but this actually had a new cover. So it's not technically a facsimile, but I thought it was, because when I was unbagging all the comics from the order, the back cover is still the John Byrne black and white the black and white cover from the back. And I turned it over and it has this cover. And so now I'm going to have to go back to my order and see what was this, because I'm not sure who the artist was. My first take was it might have been a Art Adams, but I don't see a name on here. I'll tell you one thing I do like that DC does when they have variant covers down around the barcode here, the UPC, they have a little black line that has type in it, white type, that says who is the cover artist. I love that. This I'll have to look up. I don't know where this came from. All right. I do have one more facsimile, but I'm actually going to save that one for the very end. Let's move over to some of the independent books right here. And this is something that I talked about when I do a pre-order 3 months in advance, that sometimes I miss out on the hot book of the week. Now, this wasn't necessarily an Ultimate Spider-Man #1 that was blowing up, and I didn't have my copy yet. But I did miss out on getting these copies right here that I've got right here of this #1 issue. I missed out on having these copies available to get signed when they came out. So I'll show it to you. It is the first issue of Feral, the creators of Stray Dogs, Tony Fleecs, Trish Foistner, and I've got their one of the variant horror movie style covers there too. Here, I'll put both of them right up here. Let's see if you can see both of them there. They were both at Third Eye Comics down in Annapolis, Maryland, a few days after these came out on New Comic Book Day, and I got them to sign both of these, as well as a lot of Stray Dogs books too. But here we go. This is one of those dangers of doing a pre-order subscription like this, is that and I only get the books in once a month. I don't pay for multiple shipments. So I didn't have these books available. Now, I did pick up copies of these at the store and I had them, but these copies right here were not available at that time. I literally just got them. So these will remain unsigned until I get to see the two of them again at a future con. All right, let's put some of these comics down and continue with one more independent. And I did pick up The Goon, the new storyline from The Goon. This is Eric Powell, Them That Don't Stay Dead. And I always enjoy Eric Powell's stories with The Goon. It's very enjoyable storytelling. The artwork's always really good. So I didn't have to read a preview to know that I was going to pick this up. So I did know I pre-ordered it when I went to the LCS when it came out a few weeks ago. So I didn't pick up additional copies. I waited for this copy to come in. That's one of those things when you go to New Comic Book Day and you do what I do, you really should keep that list knowing what you've already picked up so you don't pick up unnecessary extra copies if that's what you want to do or not do. Anyway, so there was that. And then I started going through the rest of these books, and I've only got one DC comic in here. We're going to save that for the end. I literally have dropped everything from DC for the most part. Now, I've already given you a hint. It's a facsimile, so it's not even a current DC comic. But again, we'll save that for the end. Let's get on to the, what did I get from Marvel? Finally got my regular issue of number 3 for Ultimate Spider-Man number 3 here. I did pick this up at New Comic Book Day because I picked up a handful of variant covers to this. I'm not going as deep on the variants on this series now that we got past issue number 1. The variants after issue 1 are not going to be as valuable unless there's some key significance. So I didn't pick up a lot of that. Finally got my copy of Ultimate Black Panther number 2. And I think I did pick up a variant of, I think I probably picked this up and a variant of this cover when it came out a few weeks ago. Blood Hunt Diaries. This is one that I did not pick up off the stands because I knew I'd pre-ordered it. We'll see if how this series goes. I think this is more of a preview of the series, Blood Hunt. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. I did one of the few, I've only got a few ongoing Marvel titles, really. And Captain America right now is one of those. I've enjoyed this new run on Captain America. Not as much for the art, but for the story itself. And let's put these down. I am continuing to pick up the new Avengers Twilight with Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Acuna. Did I say that right? Yeah. So, going to be interesting. I've enjoyed the series. It's not my favorite thing, but I've actually probably enjoyed this more than just about any ongoing regular series currently. I did pick up issue number 2 of Black Widow, Hawkeye, a series that I haven't picked up, but we've got, I believe it's an Art Germ cover of the Black Widow in one of her original costumes. Not the original, very first one, but one that she had in some of those early Avengers stories. I did pick up this, Web of Spider-Man number 1. This is a new, I want to say it's an anthology. I'm not sure if it's an ongoing story in this, but I think there's multiple stories. I might have picked this up on New Comic Book Day because you can't go wrong picking up first issues of brand new Spider-Man titles. I usually am really good about that. But what happens is after a few issues, I just dropped the whole thing. And that's how I missed out on Spider-Boy. I had probably the first 5 issues, and I'm like, I'm not really enjoying this. Let's just drop it. And of course, I miss out on Spider-Boy, the first appearance. Ongoing title that I talked about dropping, and I probably will, as I said, if it doesn't really, something doesn't drastically change, I may drop it for a while. But I've been continuing with the ongoing Amazing Spider-Man series, John Romita artwork. You've got who is it? Wells. Zeb Wells writing. Again, not enjoying this at all. Although that's a pretty decent cover by Romita right there. And then I also have issue number 46. You know, when they get to issue 50 of this fake numbering, they're going to have a big slew of variant covers and legacy number. This is something that gets me. Legacy number, this the issue I just took down was issue number 42. Excuse me, 940. This is 939. You know that when we get up to legacy number 2 or 950, we're going to have another slew of anniversary issues, I'm sure, as well. Let's put these down. And a couple more left. Ongoing title, Avengers number 11. This one, even if I hate it, I still pick up the Avengers. It's one of those, I'm not 100% a completionist, but with Avengers, I kind of am as close as I am to anything about being a completist with everything I can find. But I have dropped, like a lot of the side titles, it was a wonder that I even picked up Avengers Twilight, because a lot of these other smaller titles like Avengers Academy and things like that, it just got to be too many Avengers titles, and I didn't really care about all the side titles. I just wanted the main series. But that's why I continue with this. And I did manage to finally get my regular copy of X-Men 97 that matches up with the X-Men 97 animated show on Disney Plus that is really good. I've enjoyed it, but I have not caught up with episode 5 yet. And by the time this video comes out, we'll probably have a couple of more episodes along the way. By the time it comes out, hopefully I'll be completely caught up. But I've been enjoying the TV series. this had just come out, so I'd picked up a copy of this, and I think one of the variants, and I don't remember which the variant was, but this is it for the new comic books that I picked up, except for one last thing here. And let's put this down. As I said, I don't have any regular DC comics in this order. That's surprising. Normally, I might have had a Batman, but I know at a certain point I dropped Batman finally as well. There hasn't been a lot from DC that I've enjoyed at all, except for some covers here and there. I will pick up some beautiful covers. I know that Susan Micah was doing some covers from Poison Ivy and Black Cat that I really enjoyed. There were some covers from another artist on Birds of Prey that were really good. But other than that, I'm not picking up any ongoing titles right now. But I did pick up this. This is a facsimile. It is a huge facsimile. Check this out. It is a reprint of the Limited Collector's Edition presents Batman. It is the Neil Adams Ra's al Ghul issue here. Look how big this thing is. I mean, here, we'll pull a comic book. Now, it is definitely not the same size as the original Treasury editions, I'm pretty sure. I never had this particular copy, but you see how the regular comic compared to this thing. And thus the $15 price tag. I picked up one of these, but I thought that was pretty cool. Beautiful Neil Adams artwork. It's a wrap, just like the comic. So that right there was my one and only DC comic for this particular month. Now, I can't tell you that from New Comic Book Day if I've actually picked up some of those covers like I was talking about. But that's it for the month of April. This is what I pre-ordered. Again, we'll use New Comic Book Day to go in and get some of the things that I missed and maybe some of the variant covers that I didn't necessarily pre-order. In the previews magazine, well, in a lot of these books, even the previews magazines I got here, any of them, sometimes I do not have the cover art for that variant cover yet. You may know the artist, but you don't know what the art looks like. And very rarely will I just blindly do that unless it's somebody I really like. Like, let's say an art germ has art that's going to be on the cover, but it's not, you don't know what it is. That's somebody that usually you can count on to be just a spectacular cover. But there's a lot of other artists that I would never do that with. So guys, definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think of the new comic books that I picked up for the month of April. And if you like this kind of content, definitely consider clicking the like, hitting the subscribe, and clicking on that notification bell. That way you guys don't miss out on any of my episodes that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I'm out of here. I will see you for the next episode. And remember, every comic has a story.